It's time once again for the Wise Home Energy Show, the radio program that tells you what it's all about from its name, along with Jeff Flaherty.
Pure energy.
And here's the host of the show.
Hey, Bob. It's
Jeff.
Great to be back here. Appreciate the introduction.
Always a pleasure. Very informative, folks. You're going to like this.
That's what we're going to try to do today. I think we're going to be successful at it.
I predict it.
So today we're going to call the show, What Would Jeff Flaherty Do If He Ran the Programs or Ran the World? Either the two.
WWJFDIHRTP.
There we go. I like it. I don't know what that stands for, but it's got to have a nice acronym ring. But when we talk of programs, we talk of NYSERDA, so New York State Energy Research and Development. There's also a program called the Federal Weatherization Program that also does some no-cost insulation for income-qualified people. And then there's utility clean heat programs where they have incentives for electrification type measures, so air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, and just over the years of working in these programs, they're great for incentivizing these upgrades, but I think there's opportunities for improvements. And really, the reason why I say this is some of the homes, I'll give you a couple examples of some of the things I've run into recently. So we've, in the HVAC world or the home service world, there's been a lot of private equity that's come into the market. They've decided that this is a great venue to play in, and there's nothing wrong with that, but private equity is going to have some stringent recovery on their investment. So they're going to have some heavy growth goals, and home performance is a complicated business. There's a lot of pieces and puzzles going to it. Similar to getting a doctor's visit for kind of an unknown ailment. It really takes a lot of digging sometimes to find out what's going on in a home and how we fix it. But some of the homes we've stumbled in recently, a 2006 built ranch home that even though it sounds new, it could be improved quite a bit. When we climbed up in the attic, we pull back the insulation, and the top of the wall, which is called the top plate, is not air sealed. And the client called us to inspect it, and they had gone through a program, and we just said it wasn't air sealed properly. We just showed them the pictures, and we can't really do anything after that except charge them to fix it. And so when we see this, we think, these programs, maybe they're not always as great as they can be. So the programs are great, but maybe the people operating them have a less understanding of how they should work, or there's less oversight at the company. So that was one example of just a house. And another one we went up to, same thing. They had just had their home insulated like a year prior, and we just say, well, we have to see the attic. So we climb up in the attic, we look at the top plates, and we say it wasn't air sealed. And we tell the client, and they said, well, let me look at my contract. And, it says that they're supposed to air seal the top plates. So she calls the contractor, and they tell her that, we don't really normally air seal attics if there's already insulation in it. And that's kind of a mind blower there, because that is a terrible policy. It also violates any of the program policies that you're supposed to air seal before you add insulation. It is definitely a requirement in building performance. And then they also told her you don't want to make the house too tight. So that's a myth that we've certainly tried to,
that's one of our favorites here on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, your house can be too tight, you know.
And then no one ever says that about airplanes. We never say I'm afraid this airplane's too tight. We sort of want it sealed when we're up there at 40,000 feet.
I don't want this ocean liner to be too buoyant.
Yeah. So we want it tight, and then we want to control the airflow in the home and the cleaning of the air and things of that nature. So those were humorous lines. But those are the type of things we're seeing. So recently I was at the Buffalo Home Show, and I noticed that A lot of contractors there. No one is mentioning blower doors. So we are the only company who has a picture of a blower door at our booth. And one of the contractors had on there furnaces, boilers, and ductless heat pump. So what that means is those ductless are they're wall units, and they have a place in HVAC world. But the better system is always ducted. So ducted can distribute the air better. It can filtrate the air better. It allows adding of humidification or dehumidification. And it also allows cleaning of or adding fresh air. So we know that these ducted heat pumps work. The reason people don't think they work is because they're not sized properly to the home. So that's one of the things that we do very well. And I had a client call that had some work done about 4 years ago, had an air source heat pump put in, ducted, and some insulation. And she said her bills are very high. And so we had her send over the bill, and it's a 1,700 square foot home. It was built in 1965, and her yearly electric bill is $1,400. So that is heating, cooling, refrigerator, lights, TV, whatever other electric using appliance she is using. This is what she's using in the home. So I know people that have electric bills like this, and they don't heat and cool their home with it. So clearly it worked. The dollars are up for the actual unit cost. So really you're talking $120, $117 for the whole year, a month. And on the gas side, she has 0 therms used, but $230 in gas. And so she has a gas stove that she must barely use a therm for the whole year. So
that's annually.
So if she would get rid of that gas stove, she would save $230 a year. They pull the meter, and it would pay for a gas stove in 3 or 4 years, depending on what model she wants. So we know this works, and the proof is there in the pudding. So why isn't everybody doing this? Certainly, budget can be the case. You're not going to insulate and change out the HVAC in every single home. But when we stage it and we do it in the right order, we know it can work. So if I were in charge, I'm hoping I get the call after this show.
Yeah, it's coming. I promise you.
But really, what I would do if I ran these programs is I would make each contractor upload all the pictures that are required on the job site. So these are exterior pictures, interior pictures, testing pictures of any equipment, and, of course, blower door pictures. So hopefully blower doors are being done. So those pictures, we now live in this digital age. They can be geotagged to the home, time-stamped to the day you took them, and we need to really categorize or catalog the actual conditions when we did the assessment, when we do the install work, and then when we do the final inspection. It's so easy to do, to capture those pictures and then to upload it. So they really should have these pictures. They require some pictures, but I think more pictures should be required, and they should be geotagged to that location. And then blower door tests, Bob. I know you love those blower door tests as much as I do.
Who doesn't?
And that measures the air leakage of the home. So we have a lot of people, contractors, that maybe don't believe in it or have found a way to not do them, or don't like the 40-pound blower door that they have to take into the home. But we know that test is so critical for comfort, for energy loss, for durability, for avoiding mold, and for properly sizing the equipment in the home. And so there's reasons to not do the blower door. So when programs see companies not doing them, they should put a little red flag next to those companies and say, what's going on? How are their results? We kind of model homes' energy savings, and then we don't really go back and find out how well it's saved. So that's sort of like doing a budget for the year, saying we got $100,000 coming in, we're going to spend $60,000 on this. Let's put $10,000 in our retirement plan. And then at the end of the year, never checking if we did that. Because what we probably did is we spent $130,000 and we didn't put any in our retirement plan. It's the verification after the fact. And it may be hard to do, but I think all the data's there for these programs to look at this data on a sporadic basis and maybe spot check the companies that are struggling a little bit.
Let's just ask a question here. In your experience, is there a substitute for the blower door test? Is there another methodology whereby you can quantify what's needed in those homes, or is the blower door pretty much the gold standard?
So it is kind of the gold standard. I've been trying to develop secondary ones. So the big thing that prevents you from doing it, if there's construction going on, if the wall's ripped down, you're just going to have false numbers, so it's not really useless. But we're talking about pressures, and there's ways to extrapolate and back into it. So if your bath fan, you can measure the cubic foot per minute your bath fan is exhausting out of the home. So say it's exhausting 120 cubic foot per minute. You can take a pressure reading between indoors and outdoors and see how well it depressurizes the home. Maybe it's minus 5 pascals. You can take that information and kind of extrapolate how much the blower door or how much the home is leaking. So that's one of the things that I've suggested that they should do is make, if the contractor is kind of gaming the system by not doing the blower door, then put these other requirements on them. Measure the bath fans, maybe require them to have more pictures or just upload the pictures. I've been thinking that maybe a lighter, so we go to a pressure of 50 pascals, but if you went to a lighter pressure, the threat is if there's asbestos possibly in the home, would that move it around? Well, we have a furnace usually in a home that is blowing at a very high rate of speed. So in my opinion, if we already have asbestos particles moving around the home, they're moving around the home all the time. So I don't think the blower door at a lower pressure would be any worse than the furnace fan turning on. So that is a great question. I do think the industry needs to solve that problem because it's such a big deal that people are not doing it. And you take that number, and then we look at the manual J calculation. So a manual J is a calculation for how much heat you're going to need on your coldest day, or how much cooling you're going to need on your warmest day for your particular region. So that's kind of similar to, you got two houses on the street. They look exactly the same. And one is having a party with 5 people coming over, and one's having a party with 20 people coming over. Do you buy the same amount of food for each party? The houses look exactly the same, but the load inside the home is going to be different based on, what's going on in the home. So that manual J calculation is huge. And really, one of the things the industry has found is that 90% of HVAC equipment is oversized. So
wow.
You add that, and then also 90% of homes in the U.S. are under-insulated. And then I recently went to a venting seminar, an attic ventilation seminar, and they said 90% of attics are under-ventilated. So by my math, Bob, there's a 270% chance we can upgrade your home. I mean, I think that adds up, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And you are listening to the Wise Home Energy Show with Jeff Flaherty, the voice of wisdom here. And if you're cold in your home or you're uncomfortable, warm in your home, pick up the phone and call
585-270-5836. And really, that's a great time to say that anybody in New York State can get a no-cost assessment. So all you have to do is fill out a one-page piece of paper. And really going back to that, analyzing the energy usage afterwards, what you're really signing when you sign that is you agree that these programs can look at your utility bills for the next 2 years. They want to see that the difference that is proposed being made will actually make it. So you submit your bills. It's not Big Brother. They don't even have the resources to really check up on that many homes. We find that we have the resources to spot check when we look at a particular home and are comfortable with the customer choosing all these good options. Then we go back and we look at it, and we know the proof works when we get to look at it a year down the road. So you fill out that one-page application, you submit your utility bills. That's a starting point. That's kind of like when you walk into the doctor's office and you step on the scale, you get your weight, and you get your height. We got a baseline. Let's start digging into the assessment from there. And that assessment is highly visual. We're climbing up in attics. We're looking at equipment. It takes about 2 hours. We elect to add the blower door on for no cost if we'd like. If we're in the home now and we feel that the home has issues and the client has expressed some concerns, then we will typically add that blower door on for no cost. We won't really provide blower door reports and things of that nature, but at least we have a baseline of where we're at. It's the stepping on the scale when you go to the doctor. So
a quick question. Going back here earlier in the program, you had a case history about a 1965 built home, about 1,700 square feet, and their total energy costs for the year, $1,700.
1,400.
1,400. I mixed up the
That's
square
right,
footage.
But you added the gas. You know, they were using gas for no particular reason.
Well, it's $230 more dollars.
Yeah, right.
For a gas stove.
$1,400. And ironically, she thought her bills were high.
Yeah.
So
well, it's all perspective. So how atypical or typical is that? How achievable would the average can you get a lot of people to that level, you feel?
I think you can. I mean, certainly it's funny to parse these things out. So she was a senior citizen, so we're not going to have a lot of the extra appliances, right? She's probably just got the TV, but it is achievable. And so if you've done that today, where will the energy bills be in 5 years? Where will they be in 10 years?
No, the mind reels.
If it's anything like the housing market, it's going to go up, exponentially. And that's why this needs to be done right. And so we get, what I was saying before is we get a lot of calls. If your home's been treated and then you're calling us for comfort issues, that's kind of a telltale sign that maybe the treatment didn't work. Now, we always preface that with, if we insulate your attic, the attic is the most important part, and we insulate it, and people say, well, how much am I going to save? Your furnace is probably already oversized. It is the Manual J calculation has fudge factors built into it, so it's already oversizing it. And most contractors just kind of say, well, I'm nervous, let me upsize it from there. And very soon as the technology morphs, we're going to have this data through your thermostat that'll really tell us on the coldest degree how oversized your furnace is. We will be able to size equipment. We can now, but not many homes have these thermostats or these data loggers. So we'll have that information. And who wants to swap out 2-year-old equipment? It's just not. It's not reasonable to think that somebody's going to spend that kind of money. You're better taking a risk and getting the right size according to the Manual J, taking a little risk. And we get that a lot as we'll go and there'll be 3 quotes and they'll be like, well, yours is, a 40,000 BTU and everybody else's is 60. I'm like, it's not apples to apples. We won't put in the 60. We're walking away. We don't want the complaints in 2 years. So it's people are just guessing. They've been guessing since HVAC has been invented in homes. So
technology didn't exist, and so most of the homes in America oversized with HVAC equipment and under insulated. So there must be like a cultural thing there, like among general contractors who say, well, let's err on the side, no pun intended, of a bigger furnace. Then we make sure that we're covered.
It really is, and they're not understanding that that to oversize it creates problems. And a lot of this stuff, if let's just take a furnace, for example, we can have a single-stage furnace, so it has one output. That's it. We can have a 2-stage furnace where to have a low stage and a high stage, which we consider considerably better. In fact, I think the single stage furnaces in these programs should be completely banned. It is just, if they're already oversizing it and then the single stage is there, it's already going to be oversized. So they should ban the single stage equipment. And think of it in terms of, if you were in the city and your car only went 55 miles per hour, imagine racing from red light to red light.
Yeah, with your foot on the floor.
Yeah, you'd probably be a little sick, and everybody in the car would be a little sick. So you want that slower, even ramp up. You only need to go 30 in the city, and that's that two-stage or that modulating equipment that runs at a more reasonable what you type need output. And if you take the risk, how many hours of the year is it really cold? A couple of space heaters for $100 will probably supplement whatever possible deficit you have, which I doubt you will have a deficit. So, and those comfort issues come back, but the usage comes back, because it's when you can put Energy Star on a furnace, but if it's the wrong size and doesn't match up well with your insulation and air leakage of your home, it's not going to match. So, and that brings me to the next thing, is really they should reward downsizing of equipment. So, and the data's there, right? If we have the square foot, if we have the initial gas and electric usage, and we have the initial size of the equipment, let's reward downsizing.
Even if it's 2 years old.
Yeah, I just think they should have a little extra incentive. So if the contractors are still afraid of it and not doing the manual J, then you're rewarding the contractors that are taking the risk of, and it's not really a risk, it's a calculation in downsizing the equipment. And really that's kind of my final really suggestion is the program should analyze. So they have quality assurance programs where they'll randomly go out to the home and just go through kind of a checklist of what was done. So they look up in the attic, they see 18 inches of insulation. Okay, that was done. They see the new furnace. Okay, that was done. But there's no one to really review that manual J calculation. There's no one maybe to properly say, hey, this was done, but the data inputs were wrong, and it's not going to fit that house. So I think to reward, it's kind of the carrot versus the stick. A quality assurance visit, if something's wrong, you get written up, and then you have to go back and fix it. So that's the stick. I would think the programs would be better suited to use carrots. And how they can do that is take jobs. Maybe the contractor submits 10 or 20 jobs that they're proud of. They go back and look at them for the year, and they look at the energy reduction, and for that, they give them a bonus or split the bonus, one for the contractor, one for the customer that took that risk on doing the whole comprehensive project. So they might do that up front. They might give you the rebate up front, but really if they did it at the end, for good, it's kind of like are we going to reward a child for taking the test? Which is great, fine. They took the test, they showed up is half the battle. But if you reward them for having the good score, they get to, choose the college they want to go to. And that's really in the end. We're rewarding for the actual results. And so I think they could create systems that reward for actual results, which would allow the contractors that are struggling to start modeling the contractors that are successful.
So who will be overseeing these programs? Will the enforcement mechanism be NYSERDA maybe? Or? So
NYSERDA would have to look after their program, and they use implementers to do that. And I think a lot of it could really be done from a data analytics standpoint. You pull that data and plug that into some programs to say, hey, we have some anomalies. We're going to have some anomalies on the overusage, on the underusage, but hey, contractors keep coming up with really good results, and some contractors keep coming up with poor results. And then on the federal weatherization program that's managed by each state, and that's the Department of Housing and Community Renewal, they would have to handle that. And then the utilities, that seems like a home run. They own the data. They have the meters. So they run the clean heat rebate. So they could do it. And I just think we're in an era of data and measurements, and just to guess, it's great. We guess that we're going to improve the home, but if we're failing on improving the home, the customer has a bad taste. So we're going to say, oh, energy efficiency doesn't work. Well, it does work when it's done a certain way, and we know how to do it. And so it gives a bad taste for the client, and then the utilities or the programs are kind of putting up numbers saying, we completed this many jobs. What does that mean? We can install as many furnaces as we want, but if we have 50% of those clients uncomfortable and not saving money, that's a bad mark on the industry and on their particular program. So ironically, these are the things that we do. Yeah, it's self-serving that I tell you. We take all these pictures, we do these tests, we kind of tell you what path you should take. And it might be staged. We understand that budgets are in play in everybody's home, and maybe you should stage it. But if you're going to do a furnace, maybe you should take the risk and downsize it now, in case when you need to acquire the budget to do the installation in a year or two. Take the risk, downsize your equipment now, and then when you're ready to insulate, then the home will work together. But if you throw in the big HVAC system now, and then you insulate in a year, and now you got to redo your furnace. So it just doesn't make sense.
You can help them plan all this too. I mean, you're happy to do that.
Absolutely, and it's a tried and true system. We don't try to be everything to everyone. We really want to. No one wants to buy a furnace and no one wants to insulate. But if you want to fix a problem, make your home comfortable, durable, then call Wise Home Energy at 585-270-5836.
Just pick up the phone, as they say. Give them the phone number one more time, Jeff.
Sure, it's call or text at 585-270-5836.
The Wise Home Energy Show on WYSL. Thanks for listening. Get the podcast at WYSL1040.com. See you next time.